I think we can begin. Good morning and welcome to our series of online seminars. Today, we're going to present to Celia Gamboa, who is going to present the work that has been done regarding environmental education in the Guatemalan Caribbean on the management and conservation tool. So we're going to talk some general considerations for this webinar. Is whoever may need it, may need interpretation, we have the possibility of selecting the interpretation button to hear that language that you wish to hear. You can select English or Spanish, or you can leave the original audio, which if you listen in English, you can take off the original audio and only listen to the translation. So in English, here are some basic rules. This space is for learning and respect. Please, we promote this in MARFund. Turn off your microphones and cameras during the seminar. And if you can please write your complete name, country, and organization in the chat, and place any questions in the chat or raise your hand at the end of the presentation. If you're participating through Facebook Live, you can send your questions through the Facebook commentary section, and your questions will be responded at the end of the presentation. We have the no responsibility reminder. The opinions expressed in the seminars are responsibility exclusively of the presenters and do not represent necessarily the opinion of MARFund. So welcome again. We're here with our colleague Celia Gamboa. She is a social work and environmental educator in FUNDAECO. She's welcome, Celia. She designed the citizen organization for the Garifunas, and she prepared the workbooks for children, for boys and girls, for pre-primary with the Ministry of Education of Guatemala. She also prepared the system of studies of organized social organization system of the Garifuna people in Puerto Barrios and Livingston on development of tourist products based on Garifuna culture for community and ecological tourism in Livingston for INGUAT, the Tourist Guatemalan Institute. She also prepared a qualitative study on ancestral knowledge on the Garifuna people, health, and for Nueva Vida, New Life, financed by the United Nations for the Population Fund. She is working currently for FUNDAECO as an environmental educator in urban and rural areas, where she works hand in hand with teachers, training teachers and students of the different communities of the Guatemalan Caribbean regarding conservation of the environment. Welcome, Celia. It's a pleasure. Just before that, I would like to remind all our followers that we're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also in. I forgot the name. You can see I don't use the networks very often, but anyway, you can find us there. Please follow us. And if you want to listen to the seminar again or any of the previous ones. So please turn off your microphones and your cameras so that we can welcome Celia again so she may start to present the great work that she is doing in the Guatemalan Caribbean in education, environmental education. Thank you very much. Good morning to all. I'm going to share I'll share the screen now. Okay. Thank you, Celia. Good morning. It's a pleasure to present to you the project that is environmental education processes that have been implemented in the Guatemalan Caribbean as a tool for management and conservation. It's a plan designed for 5 years that is towards development, sustainable development, and the Better Lives project. We will start with this concept that I have taken from the book, Purposes and Objectives of Environmental Education. It says environmental education tends to promote in the individual a double attitude of respect for himself or herself and for the surroundings in which they live. The purpose of this plan is to achieve a significant change of behavior in the communities of Guatemala, and also that this should reflect on oneself. In the marine coastal area is changing through changes in threats, and one of them is the population increment, which leads to greater consumption, depletion of our resources, more garbage and wastes, more contamination, and diseases caused by climate change. That is why this environmental education plan was designed for 5 years, which allowed us to dream on a more educated Caribbean and adapt it to the climate change we are seeing. Our target population of the different protected areas. We can see on the map the multiple usage, the National Rio Dulce Park, the reserve, the Punta de Malavique, Livingston, and Puerto Barrios, the whole area of Puerto Barrios. So we have some strategic objectives. Let's stress that this has been an important tool for the conservation and management of the ecosystems. And we expect that for 2025, 75% of the educational or schools in the Guatemalan Caribbean will have strengthened their knowledge related to sustainable usage and conservation of biodiversity and coastal marine resources, and at least five school promotions. In 2025, we will have developed teaching tools that have strengthened the capacities of the teachers and related to the sustainable usage of biodiversity conservation in the communities of Guatemalan Caribbean and 80% at schools of the Caribbean, of Guatemalan Caribbean. Our plan is designed with two programs. One is formal, where we work with the hand in hand with teachers and educators. There was a manual that was designed on education, environmental education, on conservation, and they were trained on how to use it. In the non-formal area, We have education within and outside the classrooms. The process of the plan and this environmental education plan, first of all, we created the document and then we had a meeting to socialize and revise it with the important associations of MINEDUC, CONAP, and DIPESCA. This document was turned into these three organizations to be able to be revised and approved. In 2021, we received the complete plan for the environmental education prepared by the pertinent institutions. In 2021, we presented a draft of this to the education supervisor. After that, we had a meeting with the COCODES of the different protected areas. We signed this protecting minutes with the environmental education plan, and in June 2021, we met with the directors and teachers in order to present the plan to the communities. We have the different subjects for environmental education that the focus is marine coastal. You can see within this biodiversity, contamination, sustainable development, responsible consumption, waste and recycling, ecosystems, renewable energy, coral reefs, climate change, responsible fisheries, and fishing recovery areas and protected areas. So we found a way to cover all of these subjects. Our main achievements in the plan, environmental education plan, is sponsored by MINEDUC, CONAP, and DIPESCA, and a total of 77 establishments have joined this, including Amurs, RVSMP, Livingston, Puerto Barrios, and PNRD. So we have carried out 20 environmental festivals. We have published a manual for environmental education workshops for teachers, have a teaching kit with lotteries, memories, environmental memories in Spanish, Quechua, and Garifuna. We have reached more than 2,000 students and communities, and we have a strategic alliance with other institutions such as Marine and Digam.
We have printed material such as lottery games, which are in Garifuna, Spanish, and Quechua. We have a teacher handbook printed and memories or memory sticks. These are all, or memory games. These have been all developed with educators from the communities and their support in the translation of these to these different languages. Here you can see some of the images of our environmental festivals in the mangrove ecosystem, where we had a cleaning day, a beach cleaning day, and celebrated also the day of the manatee. We also have environmental education for COCODES. There are different institutions at the community levels that are all trained. We also conduct training to committees of women that and the support of social workers, where there's family plots. And here you can see that women are learning how to prepare the soil for harvesting. The total people trained were 2,729 people, and women trained were 1,456, and 1,273 men. There's always a question about how many children participate. And here we can see that girls are the highest number of 998, boys 775, youth 597, and adults of 359. The age rank goes from 4 to 50 years of age. Here you can also see that those that are trained, the communities that are mostly trained, are members of the Kekchi community of 1,233. The Ladino community are 750, Garifuna 701, and 45 Hindi. There are also challenges that we have faced. Not everything is perfect, but one of the challenges is to be able to have a balance in the knowledge of professional and ancestral knowledge, and that is managed by community members. There was traditional knowledge that we were taught that we did not have to cut crops at noon, 12 noon. We had to wait after 2 p.m. And all this is part of the Garifuna culture, this knowledge. Also, the Kekchi culture has taught us many traditional knowledge because they are also participating in the training. Something that is a great challenge is the lack of electricity in the communities. We have videos and PowerPoint presentations that we want to share, but there is no electricity. And also time constraints. We also have issues with the weather, not time, the weather. So sometimes we have to postpone events when the sea is too choppy. So these are some of our highlights in our project. And if you have any questions, please go ahead. Thank you so much, Celia. That was a very good summary of what you do, and we congratulate you for all the work that you do with the communities and the children who are the most important members of the community, the future of the communities, and we have to start educating them to ensure their behavior is focused well from an early age. So if we have any questions in the chat box or directly unmuting their microphones, you can do so in English or in Spanish. And we want to congratulate our colleagues of FUNDAECO and all the people that support you, Celia, especially you, for your field activities that, as you mentioned, are not easy because of difficulty of access to some of the communities and the communities around Livingston and Isabel. The distance and the weather are all issues, and of course, the availability of the community members where you work with. So, if there are any questions, if not, I will begin with a question because it's such an interesting topic. We have plenty of time for questions. My first question for you, Celia, and I believe it has not been an easy process of approval for environmental education in schools and for the curriculum of environmental education. The Ministry of Education, how have you addressed them and how have you approached this process so that other colleagues in other countries can also learn from your experience and be able to incorporate an environmental education plan in their schools? In our advantage, we right from the start, we have involved the educational authorities in the municipalities in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. We held several meetings with the supervisor from Livingston and Puerto Barrios, and did not just emphasize on the cultural aspects, but also topics that needed to be part of their educational plan. So we began right from the start with the Ministry of Education, and every year at the end of a fiscal year, we have been able to meet with them and evaluate things. I also share these presentations with the ministry, like the one I just shared with you. We also share with the authorities our database. It's very, very important what you're doing and to do it jointly in parallel, because this is what guarantees success. We have a question by Eliseo Cup. What type of tool platform are you using to record statistics of your engagement activities? We do this jointly with the educational authorities, the supervisors who have their own database from the ministry, and I give them all the everything, all the lists directly to them. Is this an online tool or what do you manage? We use an Excel spreadsheet for this. Excellent. It would be really great to be able to have a tool specialized for this, but that would take a lot of other resources, but it would be very useful. We have another question. Indira Brooks, what have been the most significant results that you have attained, and how have you been able to fund these activities? Has this been a challenge in finding financing or funding for educational components? Yes, it has been a challenge, but the most important aspect has been the involvement of the communities. For us, it has been very pleasing to see to that communities, after giving a talk or a presentation, parents participate, teachers participate actively in in our activities, and directors, school directors or principals. So this is a very significant achievement that we have in this process. Regarding funding, that's why we have the support of Marfund for these small donations or small grants project that we hope can continue giving us funds for future projects. We know that FUNDAECO has a very good management of their resources for education, environmental education, and how to use them appropriately. And it's very important that organizations like yours spend some time and resource and personnel in education and environmental training and education to be able to have a behavior change from an early age. Great. If there are any other questions, so while we wait for more questions, here we have one. How do you measure the impact at a medium and long term of your educational programs in the with regards to participants, but also to the environment? How do you measure the impact? Well, first, we measure it with a list of participants that are involved. We also monitor how the behavior change of youth in their different topics that are they receive, how they apply them, how they change. We also observe their schools, their area, their environment, surrounding areas, to see if that has been creating an impact in their training. There's also something you can mention called the uh, sale eco salesmen. These are children or sons and daughters of fishermen that have also been trained not only in the environmental education, but also they receive training with specialized guidelines they receive or handbooks for sailing or sailboats training. And you can see how from very young age they apply all these learning training from to their different economic activities also, and fishing activity, and also protecting the environment. So it's very important what you're doing, so I wanted to highlight that. We also have uh, there is someone that asks that there's a fishing plans, and how has this effort, how what achievement have you been able to obtain? Can you highlight this a little bit more? Or Fundaec has Fundaeco has always worked with fishing communities or fisheries, working with social work and environmental education, eco sales, ecoveleros projects, and different projects. So being able to expand on this project of environmental education has been able to enable or facilitate the work with them even more. So it's not only their support directly in these projects, but also their support with providing information, not only what we share directly with them, we also share how we work with their children, the type of activities we do, and they feel involved. They feel participating, and they don't feel alone in their work, which is also education that starts from home. Environmental education in these communities starts in their homes. They learn about hygiene, they learn about sharing, recycling, sharing clothes, and all these aspects of environmental education.
Thank you very much for your answers. This Your work has been fundamental. You have not only based it on thinking of doing this, but it's also you have been able to add an environmental education project that approved by the Ministry of Education, and this is the most important thing that you have achieved, because not always we talk about these, or there are specific classes for environmental education. Ernesto Almilcar says, are there any projects to apply the good usage of wastes and residue, and teach or enable the communities in how to manage these with universities or with INTECAP to be able to help them learn this? As we said in my presentation, we have created alliances with other institutions. For example, the solid waste, we work with CONAP, which is the Ministry of Environment, in subjects that are related to these, like cleaning the beaches. We have also taught the children or the youth, young people, how to recycle the garbage or the wastes. So yes, this theme of how to make good use of separate the different types of solid waste is a very relevant subject, and we have to start working on this from childhood so that they can understand why they're learning about this and what is the final benefit for the community, for their own collective health and personal health. Indira Brooks has a question. How do you maintain all the community members motivated, including donors, regarding the importance of this education, considering that in the past there have been a lot of investment in this kind of educational project, but the expected results have not been achieved. So we would like to know if there's anything on this on your page. And this is one of the ideas, is to maintain motivation of, especially of the youth. This is one of the ways that we uh, use and go to a school and, for example, present a talk of half an hour would put everybody to sleep. So what we do is we use this learning kit that we have prepared. And for example, if we are in schools where there are Garifunas, where there are Hindus or Chias, we distribute it as such and we start to work with these lotteries and memories that we have. This is a very important support that we have because everything is contained there and it is prepared with things that we have put together with people on the coast. For example, we use animals that are in danger of extinction. We talk about why these animals no longer exist or why they are in the process of becoming extinct. And so, yes, we have to adapt ourselves to the needs and to the ages of the children or the adults that are participating in these activities. Thank you very much. I think there are many people that are very interested in the results obtained. How do we measure? How do we follow these changes? How we can use this information also so that you can also reach more donors and have more donations for your work. Have you had done a recent evaluation of the impacts of environmental education? What changes have you observed in the attitudes of people in terms of the use of the resources around their communities? Talking about changes, there have been a lot of changes. As I mentioned, we don't only go to the communities one time. We go twice, go three times. We have alliances established with the teachers. So we visit the teachers and they say, oh, this happened before, it's no longer happening. Maybe we can reinforce such and such a subject. And so we include this. And also our teachers talk about our work with the educational supervisors. And they talk about the comments. It really does motivate us because we are seeing that changes are being obtained. And the first question was have you had a recent evaluation of the impacts of the environmental education on the community? The evaluation, as I said, we always carry it out with the teachers, with the SEPADE people, the important entities of the communities, also with the school directors. So when we evaluate, we also not only observe the behavior of the children at school, but how they behave at school, what changes have happened, because we also are training the family leaders. So we visit, we observe that we are doing things well. And there's a lot left to be done because environmental education is a day-to-day, day-by-day event. Thank you very much, Celia. Thank you. There are more questions. Thank you to the participants that are making this presentation more interesting and there's more learning coming out of it. So Becky Hamilton says, What strategies do you have to guarantee that the participants continue to apply what they have learned? And what percentage would you estimate that continues to implement what is being taught once the program is finalized? So this is, for example, I will mention the Women's Committee. They are mothers, and so one of our members goes to her house, and well, then we see we see if we see, for example, that the mother has thrown garbage around their house, and we ask them, what have you learned, or we think that. So this is important. Also, the teacher is very important, because the teacher, based on the documents that we give them, offers follow up, or does the follow up, because the workshops all need to be followed up, and within the classroom we see that it does work, because when we arrive, we don't only see the nice work that the students do and paste on the wall, but we also look around at other aspects. So yes, we do notice that there is a difference. And the percentage that you estimate of implementation in the teaching and the echo, or the children of the fishermen, those who learn and continue working. So I understand that more than 80% of the institutions and in the communities, more than 80% are continuing to implement. So Jessica Lisbeth Rivera says, congratulations for this project. It really is a beautiful work to work with children. And my question is, do you plan to carry out citizen science with the communities to obtain greater population participation, at the same time generate information regarding flora and fauna, and obtain data for the countries also too? Yes, we are doing this because, as I said before, we don't only go once or twice to the communities, we return 2, 3 times, and in this way we try to cover all the aspects, all the subjects, all the aspects and issues in the communities regarding this. And this is very important. And could you mention also that there are other programs in FUNDAECO that have these needs, like the Eco Veleras and the science citizenship? I think also that very interested in the lottery, in the manual, and the teacher manual, and also the MINEDUC manual. There are two different manuals. One is for the teachers. We have one right now that has been printed so far. The lottery and the memories, I would love to show them to you. I can actually put up some of the slides so that you can see, and the manual is available. It's on your web page. It's on the web page, and if we can add your address on the chat so that people that are interested can contact you, Celia. Yes, Celia, I will do that right away. Okay, so also I would like to hear about the manual about the non-formal activities. Yes, that is true, but it has not been published yet. It's being revised at this moment. I've read all the questions, I think, I will do a double check here. But thank you very much to the participants for your questions that are so important, and also for Celia's answers that have helped us to understand this important work with environmental education. Carla Elise is asking me, okay, please tell me if I have missed any questions. Okay, I will now share my screen to show you the slides. And before you leave, please help us to fill out this feedback survey so we can improve our seminars regarding also the subjects and themes that we are covering. Okay, so here we have the printed material. These are the lotteries. This is the workshop manual and the memories on the right. So here you can see deforestation, and we've already spoken about this with the children, but it's not only for them to like this topic, but also to show them that it's happening. So we have a class also talking about reforestation. Thank you, Celia. And also, you do visit the sites and you visit the mangrove ecosystems and other ecosystems around you, or is everything carried out in the classroom? Yes, during the educational fairs, with permission of the parents and supervisors, we ask the students to accompany us. And recently, we had a mangrove reforestation with participation of these students. Excellent. Thank you. So, in order to summarize, Celia, I think that am I right? I think the most important thing you're doing what we feel is very satisfying is engaging women in these activities because they are the ones that are doing important work in the family, leading the families. And so now we see that not only in their homes, but they have all this information, they're receiving support from the organization, in this case, FUNDAECO, to continue doing this. So this is like a feedback of this whole subject in their homes. Something else you mentioned that's very important is recognizing and approaching the communities and learning about their ancestral knowledge, because without this respect, we would not be able to work with the communities that have so much knowledge and ancestral knowledge that is feedback for the work that you are doing. And they also, you learn from them. I also want to mention this, your objective is to reach 77 establishment, and there are many more years of work to do to carry out this work so that they become empowered and continue on their own with this education, environmental education work in the schools during the years to come.
We're going to share your email on the chat. Apologies for not sharing it before. And the question is, where can we see the recording of this webinar? You can also see them on our website. And Carla is also going to share with us a link to the recordings. We also share the videos on social media, and we're going to share Celia's email. It's here on the chat box. We're also going to include Celia's presentation, a PowerPoint she shared with us today, and we're going to include her email there too.